Hello, wonderful interpreters. Thank you again for tuning in. Local 1671 internal election protest from Rosa Elena Virrueta. Now, Rosa Elena Virrueta, she has been a part of the elections committee, as you saw, and she was one of the three ladies that was part of the elections committee. So I actually shared these protests with a lot of people because I'm like, people need to know this. Okay, transparency needs to happen. She shared it first, and I was like forwarding it. Dear Liz Larson and all pertinent governing bodies, if you see, she sent this protest to Liz, which is Wfse staff that was supposed to be overseeing the election. Leanne Kunz, she's the executive director, deputy executive director. Andrea, she's the vice president. Mike, the president. This guy is part of the judicial panel, and some other people that I don't identify right now. This guy, Sean, he's actually replacing Michael Abate. He was on vacation. And to the local 1671 elections, the elections committee. So let's get into it. It says, Dear Liz Larson, and all pertinent governing bodies. My name is Rosa Elena Virrueta. I am a current member of the election committee for Local 1671. The reason of this email is to protest the conduct of the other two members of this election committee, especially concerning behavior from America Breton, who serves as the chair of this committee. A series of violations have been taking place during the course of this election process, especially unilateral decisions made by this committee's chair, America Breton. I have been made aware of these violations, and I am deeply concerned because I believe that all impartiality has been compromised in light of this behavior. I formally presented this protest, in parentheses, it says right here, before the counting of the votes, but it was not accepted by Liz Larson, as she instructed me to file any protest after the end of the election. Now, it only makes sense that if Elena is a member of the elections committee and she's complaining mainly against the chair of the election committee, who do you think this protest should go to be reviewed and analyzed? Should it go to the person that you're accusing? Common sense tells you no. You need to go to a supervisor, somebody higher, to oversee this matter. I want you to keep in mind this fact. Consider this email as a formal protest from my part. I ask you to please consider all the evidence presented here and make a quick and reasonable decision given the circumstances. Then it says right here, Liz Larson decided to proceed with the counting regardless. I was preparing to report all of this sooner, Elena continues saying, but a second election during the holidays has made things very challenging. Who wants to count ballots on Christmas Day? Who wants to receive ballots on Christmas Day? It's crazy. So it says violation number 1 that Elena cites right here on December 6th, 2019, election committee's chair, America Breton, shared with me via text that Milena Calderari-Waldron, former local 1671 secretary, one of the people that you met in Olympia in February 2018 when she was sponsoring and promoting SB 6245, changing the LNI system, so you know who she is. Milena Calderari-Waldron had requested a report of all nominations made to the elections committee. America stated that she would share both reports with Milena in case she needed to sort out, quote unquote, any information from them. America didn't only share the finished nomination report available to all members, she also shared a report of members who exercised the right to nominate candidates. Why is this a problem? Because Milena Calderari-Waldron, she's no longer secretary of Local 1671. She's not part of the elections committee. And as you read, not even current officers, the Department of Labor says, should have access or special privileges or any information regarding the elections. So it says right here, on December 7th, I expressed my concern with this behavior to America, letting her know that it is my understanding that nobody outside the election committee can have access to any unfinished reports in order to protect the secret nature of the nominations and maintain confidentiality. America then replied, quote, Liz is the only one that has the right to have this kind of input, end quote. Quote, Milena can't and doesn't want to change anything, end quote. Quote, she has been tasked with this process in the past, and that's how she's going to help, end quote. America has an obligation to protect confidential information and enforce impartiality throughout the whole process, and her response to me showed a lack of integrity while defending her actions. That's what Rosalena Birreta is writing right here, okay, to Wfse. And then she goes further saying, citing from AFSCME Local Union Election Manual, one of the many duties of the election committee is making a report to the membership concerning the results of the election and subject to the membership acceptance, the decisions made on any protests. Nothing in this section implies that somebody like Milena can have access to any preliminary or unfinished report about any nominations made to the elections committee. This action violates the very secrecy of the whole process, and I second that emotion. You know, I know Milena, and this is nothing against her personally, but it seems by Elena's, reporting right here that she did have this access, and there is evidence to back this up. There are pictures here supporting that evidence, so I'm going to show you that at the end of the email. It says right here, furthermore, the U.S. Department of Labor has clear guidelines for local union election officials. You see right here, in any event, during the upcoming weeks, you and your fellow election officials will be entrusted with the responsibility of providing members with the opportunity to exercise the most fundamental of union rights, the right to elect their union officers by secret ballot. And it says right here again, I think I read this to you, election officials should be guided by 3 principles. They should be fair and impartial, treating all candidates equally, and avoiding any acts of favoritism or even the appearance of it. Okay, you should maintain a business-like relationship with all candidates, even if you work with them or are personal friends with any of them. So Elena is very wise to actually point out the Department of Labor guidelines for election officials, right? If none of the election officials has ever conducted an election before, consider contacting members of your union who have served as election officials in prior elections to discuss their experiences, both positive and negative. So see, Milena has been an election official before, so it is valid for the election committee to contact Milena, but to share reports, to share who nominated who, that's a violation of secrecy. And that's what she's pointing out right here, Elena. It says, violation 2. So this violation right here, Maria Teresa de Bailin, another member of the election committee, admitted to have received an email on December 16, 2019 from a current union officer endorsing Juan Tran, presidential candidate, and Alfonso Bautista, vice presidential candidate. This union officer is Leroy Mold, you know Leroy, former Local 1671 president, which is currently a trustee. Leroy clearly used his position to influence members of the election committee. Leroy endorsing his preferred candidates by email and forwarding such endorsement with election committee members is a gross violation of election principles. So, and they defended themselves saying like, oh, everybody has the right to free speech, or we'll do. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that you have people endorsing these candidates, forwarding an email to election committee members to kind of sway what's going on and telling these people, distribute with your supporters. That's the violation. It says this compromises the impartiality that election committee members have to maintain at all times. Once again, the Department of Labor is clear about these things. And I think I read this to you. You should meet with your current unit officers to seek their support. Make sure that they understand that you must remain impartial and they are not entitled to any additional information, special privileges, or considerations because they are current officers. It says violation 3. America Breton compromised the confidentiality of all candidates nominated by allowing Ruth Medina, current Local 1671 secretary and candidate for secretary for the current election, to have access to the election committee's private email. So Ruth Medina is the current secretary, which is also a candidate, was a candidate, she already won, was a candidate for the position of secretary while being a secretary, and she had access to the election committee's private email. There is also evidence that on the 6th, a new device was signed in to have access to the election committee's email address. This is pretty serious. They don't take it seriously because they don't care what you and me say, but this is serious. It says, please take a look at all of this, and if you need further evidence in the form of text messages and emails supporting these claims, please see attachments. Oh, we're going to see the attachments. Yeah, we're on this. All right. It says, in closing, I don't think America Breton should be the chair of this election committee, and I think that we need further supervision from Wfse staff tomorrow. That was the day before the counting. When counting the ballots, because I'm very concerned about the integrity of these election committee members. Thank you for your consideration and for looking into this matter. So this is updated right here. Liz Larson decided to allow America Breton to remain as chair of the election committee and didn't take any action regarding these violations during or before the counting of the votes. Instead, she instructed that I had to wait until after the count to formally submit any protest. America Breton's integrity was compromised since she failed to disclose that her significant other was originally nominated for the elections committee and was later signaled out by e-board members that this should not be allowed. So this lady, who I don't know, this is nothing personal against her, I'm just reading this protest, had a significant other, her boyfriend or whatever, I don't know, her significant other, be nominated with herself to be part of the elections committee member. That is just too much. But instead of Wfse and Local 1671 removing these two people for not disclosing their relationship and, conflict of interest, they allowed her to remain. Very bad. It says, thinking that a couple can both participate on an elections committee does not give off the appearance of being impartial or having good faith. I totally agree with this. Now it says right here, events that transpired the day of the count, January 4th, 2020. It says, prior to the count, Teresa de Bailin was mostly absent during the election process and didn't show up on January 4th for the count. The counting was set to take place from 11 to 3 p.m. America Breton arrived past 1 p.m. Because of this, the counting was extended until about 6 p.m. and the whole meeting ended at 8 p.m. 3. Liz Larson suggested to allow ballots that arrived at Wfse on December 26, which was after the established December 25th deadline. I suggested that we should stick to the rules and not allow ballots that arrived after the deadline. So if you saw, I read to you the due date for the ballots to arrive at Wfse. So if they received ballots on the 25th, those were the only ballots that were allowed to be counted. Those received after that date, just because people mailed them at a later time, they shouldn't have been allowed. But it looks like this lady said, no, we're going to allow those too. I don't care. It says, during the counting of the ballots on January 4th, due to the fact that America was not able to arrive on time for the counting and Teresa wasn't able to attend, Liz Larson proposed that we allow a few ballots received by members who were not in good standing. That's another violation. A member in good standing is a member that's actually paying dues. They're being deducted dues. If you're not paying dues for the last 2 months, then you shouldn't, be considered in good standing. It looks like this lady allowed members that were not in good standing clearly, ballots of these members to be allowed. It says right here, Liz indicated that this happened because she sent those members the ballots, but she did not check their eligibility before mailing the ballots. That's a big no-no. And this lady is supposed to be supervising the elections from Wfse. She's right there, making violations right and left. What's going on with that? It says, I proceeded to follow Liz Larson's lead to allow such ballots, says Elena. This fact was not even mentioned in the Elections Committee report announcing the result of the official count. Number 5, at the end of the count, Liz Larson once again suggested to include the ballots that arrived on December 26 and delegated that decision to the Election Committee. America Breton suggested to include these ballots as well. With this action, the lead of the position of treasurer shifted to Ana Cecilia Garcia, making her the winner instead of Larry Miller. Wow. So this action was proved to influence the outcome of this position also. I was opposed to including these ballots as I mentioned above, but at this point, I just followed America's lead as chair of the Elections Committee. Of course. Now it says right here, a violation of observer's rights. Juan Medina Bloise, moi, submitted his observer to be present at the count. This observer was Yesenia Mapes, a member in good standing. You all remember Jessie. She's been helping organize NNI interpreters along with Miriam and myself since a couple of years ago. It says right here, Elena says, America didn't allow the observer to talk or make any comments regarding votes. She told the observer that her role was to, quote, only to observe but not to talk or make any comments regarding votes, end quote. America Breton repeatedly told the observer that she couldn't talk and asked the observer to leave even before the end of the count. She did all of this in a very harsh and impolite way. It says the International Constitution, Appendix D, Section 2, subsection I provides, quote, any candidate whose name is to appear on the ballot shall have the right to have present an observer, official observer, of the candidate's own choosing. So I chose Jessie and I sent her as my observer, who must be a member of the Federation. Now, observers have, however, some absolute rights. They have the right to challenge any voter who they think is not eligible to cast a vote. How can you challenge something if you can't speak like she was told? Doesn't make any sense, right? Observers have the right to take such notes as they choose to, including making their own list who has voted, the right to call for the attention of the election committee members present any violation of proper procedure which they may observe. Now, this is the key word. Any violation of proper procedure which they may observe, they have the right to call out. So they can be told to shut up. They can be told leave. They can be told you can't talk. Okay, this is clear. There is no way around this. Now, it says right here, they have the right to remain after the polls have closed and to keep the ballot box under observation until it is open. The right to observe the actual counting of the ballots, including the right to examine any suspect ballot, and the right to maintain their own tabulation as the election committee counts the ballots. I mean, it's just a lot of rights that they were trampled by this lady. It says right here, all of these actions were taken by America Breton, and I believe that these actions violated the rights of the observer. Liz Larsen also asked America Breton several times if she wanted the observer to leave. So they were ganging up on my observer. Poor Jessie. Sorry, Jessie. Sorry. It says right here, I also want to mention that about 6 p.m. Liz Larsen printed the initial protest that I submitted the day before the count and gave America and myself a copy, then asked me if I was opposed to the observer having a copy, to which I replied that I didn't have a problem, but it was up to her, Liz Larsen. So it says right here, events that transpired after the count. On January 5th, 2020, I had a phone conversation with Liz Larsen. I shared that according to the Elections Committee timeline and procedures voted and approved unanimously on November 2019 on an e-board meeting by President, Vice President, everybody. It says right here, nomination forms must be filled in completely and must include all required information as indicated on the official nomination form. Nominations received without the required information will not be accepted. It says right here, during this past Sunday's conversation with Liz, I indicated that I informed the committee members that some of the nominations of the now elected candidates were submitted without including the required information and therefore should have been not accepted. Liz Larsen indicated that she was aware of that issue and informed America, the election committee chair. Liz also said that she added the missing information to those nominations. So wait a minute. So this Liz Larsen lady, which is very nice, I've talked to her, saw that some nominations shouldn't have been allowed because they were missing information. So instead of contacting the secretary or these people and be like, hey, you got to submit it again because you forgot this, she's like, oops, no biggie, I got this. What is it? Oh, I'm going to feel it out right here. You're good. I got you, buddy. What? What's going on here? Are you kidding me? We're going to feel it out. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to call you. I got you. That's what Elena is pointing out right here. This is no small stuff. They could dismiss it all they want in their report. This happened. This is not cool. It says right here, Liz said that she added the missing information to those nominations. I was never consulted about this, says Elena. Liz Larson never asked opinion, and I never agreed to include any information for such nominations. Yeah. It says, I consider this against the rules according to AFSCME Constitution. On January 8th, the election committee had a conference call with Liz Larson. I wanted to point out the nature of this conversation and what was shared. It says, each member of the election committee volunteered to complete a task. My task was to finish the report. America's task was to contact every nominator from each district and thank them. None of our District 9 nominators were contacted. America Breton was asked about the completion of her task, and she confirmed she didn't do it. Teresa's task was to make a list of all the nominees and include whether they accepted or declined the nomination. I had to take over and complete the list since the closing date was near and it was not completed yet. They, America and Teresa, offered to help with the report, but not until I was almost done with it. As soon as I finished the report, I sent it to America Breton to review it and let Teresa de Bailin and myself know if we needed any additional information. America Breton never reported any mistake to us, but she did mention that she was going to send it to Milena Waldron to review it. Milena Waldron is now part of the election committee. All the committee members always had the same access to the nominations and progress reports during the election time. I didn't deny assistance for the report, but simply no one was available to help until it was too late for them to help with anything. I'm not sure why I was questioned about the completion of my task when they didn't complete their own. I, as a member of the committee, was trying to get things done on time regardless of my busy schedule. This concludes my protest about the conduct of the election. I also would like to state I will not sign or agree to any final election committee report. In solidarity, Rosalena Birrueta. So now let's view the evidence, because all of this looks like her opinion, right? Well, she said that Quantran sent an email to a lot of people and included 2 election committee members, America Breton right here. This is a picture of that email from Quantran, which is a presidential candidate now elected. He emailed all these people, including 2 election committee members, which is against the rules, and he's saying, please distribute among your supporters. He was distributing his flyer, promoting himself and his vice presidential candidate for office. So is there a problem if you want to distribute your stuff to members? No. But you read the Department of Labor's guidelines. You can't be asking or considering special privileges from election committee members. They shouldn't, right? Well, he contacted the president of the union, 2 election committee members, Maria Teresa de Bailin and America Breton, the chair of the election committee, and say, oh, no biggie. I just want to say hi. Could you please pass it on along your candidates, your supporters? Do me a solid. We're good. Thank you. Yeah, that's what he did. Okay, so this is Elena sharing, some communication with the elections committee members. Okay, America Breton, Teresa de Bailin, you, meaning Elena. It says, no sé qué tanto nos quieran o puedan ayudar si nos apegamos al reglamento. Leí que ninguna persona fuera del comité puede tener acceso a esa información por ser confidencial. It says, I don't know how much, we could be helped. If we adhere to the rules, I read that nobody outside the committee could have access to this information because it's confidential. It says right here, yo solo no quiero romper el reglamento y meterme en problemas. I don't want to break the rules and get in trouble. Sabemos que si alguien nomina a alguien es porque votará por esa persona y ahí se viola la privacidad y el secreto al voto. We know that if somebody nominates somebody, it's because they're going to vote for that person, and then you could be violating their privacy and the secrecy of the vote. No sé cómo tú veas, pero si todo es legal, pues adelante. Yo feliz que nos ayude Milena. Elena is saying, I don't know how you see this, but if you think it's legal and okay, well, go ahead. Hopefully, I'm happy that Milena is going to help us. So she's addressing the fact that they wanted to share these reports with Milena. She's like, hello, isn't this against the rules? What are you guys doing? If you think it's okay, go ahead, but hey. So what is their response? America Breton right here, December 6th says, Me va a decir Milena, va a trabajar en eso. Milena is going to tell me she's going to try and work on it. La veo mañana en casa para el otro proyecto. I'm going to see her tomorrow at home for the other project que estamos trabajando para la negociación del contrato colectivo. The other project that we were working on for the negotiation of the collective contract. Una campaña masiva para enrolar el 90% de intérpretes que toman HCA appointments. A massive campaign to enroll 90% of interpreters that take HCA appointments. Ahora solo estamos registrados el 45%. Now we only have registered 45% of those interpreters. El número de intérpretes registrados en el sindicato es el factor más importante. The number of interpreters registered in our union is the most important factor that bears weight. De peso que tenemos en la negociación con el Estado. That bears weight when we are negotiating with the state. It says right here, ella me pidió el reporte del comité para trabajar hoy por la noche y en eso, pero me parece que no va a poder y lo vamos a ver mañana. She asked me, okay, for the committee's report so she could be working on it tonight. Let me see if I'm actually interpreting this right. Yeah, she asked me for the committee's report so she could work on it tonight and on that. But it looks to me that she's not going to be able to, and we're going to see it tomorrow. Yes. And it says right here, hola chicas, buenos días, América Breton, the chair of the elections committee. Hoy viene a casa Milena y otra persona de Wfse. Today, Milena comes home with somebody else from Wfse. Who would that somebody be? Geez, I don't know. Hay un procedimiento bajo el cual right here, it continues in a better way. Hay un procedimiento bajo el cual se va a enviar el reporte y yo las tendré bien enteradas. There is a procedure by which we're going to send the report and I'm going to keep you informed once I know, una vez que lo sepa. Elena, no sé si estarás pensando ser parte del próximo comité de elecciones, pero si lo estás, debes ser la chair. Elena, I don't know if you're thinking about being part of the next elections committee, but if you are, you should be the chair. En este punto, eres de nosotras tres la que más ha trabajado en el proceso. At this point, you are, from all of us three, the one that has worked the most in this process. Circunstancialmente o no, pero as a matter of fact, you are. Circumstantially or not, but as a matter of fact, you are. Claro, a menos que quieras aceptar alguna nominación, of course, unless you want to accept any nomination, que para ese entonces existe la posibilidad de que yo misma trate de nominarme o ser nominada y puede que sea tu caso. But for that possibility, for then it exists the possibility that myself, I could try to nominate myself or be nominated. And that could be your case too. You remember that I read to you that, somebody in the elections committee cannot be nominated, cannot be a candidate for office? Now, it shows you that this lady, America Breton, has no idea of election rules. No regard or idea of what she's doing. She's like, yeah, you can nominate yourself for office, or I could nominate myself, or maybe somebody else could nominate me because I am part of the elections committee and I want to be nominated. Whoa. So you are the chair of the elections committee and you have no idea whatsoever in God's green earth with the blue, sky blue, what you're doing. But you have the audacity to send a report saying that you reject all of the violations that we presented. So it says right here, elections committee members, about it. Teresa de Valen. Voy a revisar mis correos también. It says right here, I'm gonna check my mail too. En este periodo de votos no he recibido algo así de parte del sindicato. In this period of votes, I have not received anything like this from the union. Solo uno de Leroy como intérprete. Only one from Leroy as an interpreter. No sé cómo se considera este correo. I don't know how this mail or email could be considered. And Elena was asking about Leroy contacting, election committee members supporting his candidates, his preferred candidates. And they're admitting right here, I only received an email from Leroy as an interpreter. Well, you received it as an election committee member. Hello, he contacted you. That's the violation right there. America right here, the election committee chair says, el que yo recibí es de Leroy y como intérprete nada que ver con el sindicato. The one that I received is from Leroy as an interpreter, nothing to do with the union. Same stuff right here. This is the evidence. América Bretón, el que Liz envió, reciente envió un correo preguntando, así quedó el Excel actualizado. América Bretón says, the one that Liz sent, I recently sent you an email asking of the Excel if it's updated. Sorry, the provider just got in. Thank you. Gracias. Entró el proveedor. And then America says, le voy a pasar ambos to Milena, pues a lo mejor necesita sort out algún tipo de información. The Spanglish is kidding me. It's just... Are you kidding me? This is killing me. Okay, so she's like right here, you know, I'm gonna pass along both to Milena because maybe she needs to sort out some type of information. But the report is perfect. Pero el reporte está perfecto. So she's acknowledging right here. She's gonna share with Milena both reports: the preliminary report containing all the nominations and people that nominated people or candidates that's supposed to be confidential, and in the finished report, who's supposed to be shared with members. Now you have another picture right here of nominations, President Juan, and you have Elena on the green right here saying, estoy enviando las últimas nominaciones y como saben, estas no siguen el reglamento que la Constitución indica. I am sending the last nominations and as you know, these nominations are not following the rules that the Constitution established. Y ya se les envió la forma correcta como debe de nominar, o sea, esta nominación no cumple las reglas, no cuenta. And we already sent the correct way of how they should nominate themselves or nominate people, so this nomination should not count because it is against the rules. So Juan's nomination should have been, the nomination that Juan submitted for Alfonso Bautista, right? So, yeah, or sorry, these nominations for president, vice president, secretary, they shouldn't have count. Okay. It says right here, Carlos Suarez, that's another nomination. Now, this picture right here shows that a new device signed in to Local 1671 elections committee email. So this is proof that somebody else outside the elections committee was signed in. And not only that, it's worse. It says a recovery email was changed to Local 1671 elections 2019. So how can you justify this? You know, you're giving access to people who are not supposed to have access and all that. So there you have it, people. This is pretty much the first protest. This is the stuff that destroys unions. Not people having different views, not people challenging the elections, not people protesting. No, that's the stuff that destroys unions. And so this is my first video exposing the way, you know, Local 1671 has been, you know, in cahoots with Wfse to manipulate elections. I mean, you know, like, again, this is nothing personal and it pains me to have to share this, but members have to know, you guys have to know, okay? This is the way these people don't want to let go of their power, you know, and it's not about Juan losing or Anastasio or any other candidates. We would be happy if things were conducted in a fair way, but they were not. And it doesn't matter how many times they deny these accusations, the evidence is there. So we wanted you guys to see this evidence and decide for yourselves, you know, and I'm not just talking about Wfse members, Local 1671 members, I'm talking about you guys, LNI interpreters, because we're all interpreters, and many of us are still part of Local 1671. Is this what we want to? Is this the kind of union that we want to belong, where you want to organize and they deceive you? Where you want to conduct a fair election process and they show you their true colors and you're not allowed to talk? Okay? You're basically supposed to be a good soldier. You're basically supposed to be just not doing anything. Just shut up, pay your dues. I'm sorry, but this is not what I signed up for. So with that said, thank you for putting up with me. Thank you so much. You have a good rest of your day or night, depending on what time of the day you're reading this. And, you know, the next video will be shared shortly, probably a day after this one. Thank you. God bless you.